So we've all stared at something, stubbornly refusing to work, haven't we? Maybe a gadget, a recipe,
Mm.
or, and this is what we're diving into today, a financial venture that's just clearly run out of steam.
Yeah,
It's that feeling of just keeping going, even when it really makes no sense.
exactly. And in finance, that whole struggle with something failing, it gets called dead horse syndrome. It's quite a powerful description.
Right. Dead horse syndrome. So our mission today is to really get under the skin of this. What makes us keep, well, kicking that dead horse financially speaking?
And how do we spot it?
Yes. And crucially, how can we avoid it? We're going to be pulling some really sharp insights from Joseph Wakwoma's book, Building Wealth, Journey to Financial Freedom. It really puts a spotlight on this very human thing.
It does. And what's really interesting about Wakoma's take is how he unpacks the psychology. Why do we cling to these things that are clearly failing financially? It's usually not just a simple mistake, is it? Often there are these deeper behavioral things going on. And his book, it gives some really practical ways to see those patterns and, break free.
Okay, so let's nail it down. When Wakwoma talks about dead horse syndrome in finance, what are we actually describing? What does it look like?
So it basically boils down to relentlessly pouring your resources, your time, your money, your hope into something, maybe a business, an investment, whatever,
Uh-huh.
that is demonstrably not working.
Mm-hmm.
Wakwoma uses these really vivid images, like flogging a dead horse
Yeah, you can picture
or
that.
pouring water into a basket.
Yeah.
It just hammers home how futile it is. You're putting energy in, but there's no way you're getting anything back.
And he gives it a formal name too, doesn't he, in Building Wealth? It's not just a casual term for him.
No, he's very specific. He calls it financial denial.
Financial denial. Okay.
And he frames it as a really big obstacle, a major roadblock to actually building wealth,
Mm-hmm.
because it stops people from just admitting a loss and, moving on to something that might actually work.
It's like you're so focused on winning the race, you don't realize you're completely off the track.
Exactly that.
So what are the signs then? What are some concrete examples? If someone's listening, how might they recognize this financial dead horse syndrome? The book has some clear scenarios.
Oh, absolutely. Wakwama points out several classic signs. One is having this really strong emotional attachment to a business that's, well, clearly failing.
Personal.
Yeah, people pour so much of themselves into it. Their identity gets wrapped up in it. Letting go feels like failing personally, even when the numbers are just screaming, stop.
Yeah, makes sense.
Another one is repeatedly putting money into something like, say, a multi-level marketing thing, despite losing money again and again.
Right, you hear about those.
They keep believing success is just around the corner. Just one more try.
Yeah, that persistence, but in the wrong direction. And there was that really specific one about land, wasn't there, from 2008?
Yes. That's such a memorable, almost cautionary tale. Holding on to unprofitable land bought back in 2008.
Okay.
And he adds these details. It was in a swamp
Oh, dear.
and bought from a friend. It's just a perfect storm example. The initial investment was probably shaky, right?
Sounds like it.
But then refusing to cut losses, refusing to sell, even for much less, that is the syndrome in action. It's a bad decision just compounded by not facing the facts.
Wow. And you mentioned Kamau's story earlier from chapter 1. That really painted a picture. Can you remind us what was happening there?
Sure. So Kamal had this matatu business, like a minibus taxi service, and it was just plagued with problems. Drivers stealing fuel, constant expensive repairs,
Nightmare.
total nightmare. But he just kept pumping more money in. And there's that line in the book, it's almost tragic, where he says he just needed only crash 15,000 more.
Just a little bit more.
Just a little bit more, again and again. Wakwoma's point is really sharp. Kamal wasn't running a business anymore. He was basically trying to perform CPR on something financially dead, resuscitating a corpse, not running a company.
That's a sobering way to put it. Okay, so we see the what. Let's dig into the why. Why do we do this? Why keep flogging the dead horse? Wakwoma talks about the reasons, right?
He does, and they tap into some really basic human stuff. Pride is a big one.
Yeah, I can see that.
Admitting you messed up financially, that can feel like a personal defeat, a hit to your ego, your competence.
Makes sense.
Then there's hope, that powerful, sometimes irrational belief that things will just magically turn around someday.
Even with no evidence.
Exactly. No real reason to think it will, but you hope.
Yeah.
It's like waiting for a broken watch to suddenly start working perfectly again.
And what about other people, their influence?
Oh, huge. Peer pressure is surprisingly strong, often without us even realizing it. That whole, well, if they can do it, why can't I? thinking.
Mhm.
It can make people stick with failing things just because others in their circle seem to be doing okay with something similar, even if they aren't really.
Keeping up appearances.
Sort of. And then, of course, the big one, the sunk cost fallacy.
Ah, yes. The classic.
That feeling that I've already put so much time, money, effort into this.
I can't possibly stop now.
Right. Even if stopping is clearly the logical thing and continuing means losing even more. It's like staying to the end of a terrible movie just because you paid for the ticket.
Throwing good money after bad. It's interesting, though. You mentioned even the wise characters in the book fall into this sometimes. Tell us about Mwangi and the miracle tree.
Yeah, Mwangi. He's generally shown as being pretty smart with money in the book. But even he got caught out. He invested in this supposed miracle tree.
With miracle tree. Oh, yeah.
Claimed it could cure cancer, all sorts of amazing things. Predictably, it didn't work.
Cowker.
He lost his investment. But, and this is Wakwama's key point here, the lesson Mwangi learned from that failure, he called it priceless.
Ah, so even the wise stumble, but they learn.
Exactly. It shows anyone can fall into this trap, but the real wisdom is in recognizing it and learning from it.
Okay, so that brings us to the really crucial question. How do we actually get off this dead horse before it totally drains us? What's Wakoma's advice?
Well, his first piece of advice, and he says it with a bit of humor, but he's serious, is read my book. Seriously.
Ah, okay, direct.
Yeah, he positions it as a practical guide, something to help you navigate these tricky spots, like having a wise grandmother steering you right, maybe with a slipper handy. He jokes.
Got it. Beyond the book plug.
Beyond that, he really hammers home the need to be ruthlessly realistic.
Okay.
If the numbers just don't work, if the returns aren't there, if the future looks bleak based on facts,
Yeah,
you have to have the courage to stop trying to force it.
just face the music, which can be hard when you're emotionally invested, like you said.
Very hard, but essential. What else does he suggest?
What other strategies?
Pivoting. Being willing to start fresh. That's absolutely key. He uses Jeff Bezos as an example.
Ah, the Amazon story.
Right? Started just selling books online. Then strategically pivoted, changed direction, and built it into the, global giant it is now.
Good example.
It shows that changing your plan isn't failure, it's adaptability. Often, it's the path to much bigger success.
Makes sense.
And finally, he really stresses learning from losses. Every single failed venture, every dead horse you've unfortunately ridden
Yeah.
can be a powerful teacher, a financial professor in disguise, as he puts it, if you're willing to look objectively at what went wrong and actually learn from it.
So really, the core message from Wakwama seems to be about choosing wisdom and being flexible rather than just being stubborn financially.
Exactly. He sums it up so well. Wealth isn't built by stubbornness. It's built by wisdom. It's about having the clear thinking to see when something's just not working, the guts to let it go, and then the wisdom to put your energy and your money into things that actually have a real shot.
So stop working overtime on those dead dreams.
Yeah. And instead, plant new seeds. Seeds that can actually grow into something strong, something richer, and definitely, as he'd say, something dead horse free.
A dead horse-free harvest. I like
Yeah.
that. And for listeners who want to dig into this more, get Joseph Wakwoma's book, Building Wealth, Journey to Financial Freedom. Where can they find it?
It's available at Nariya bookstore and also at Kibanga bookstore.
Great. So wrapping up this deep dive, the big takeaway really seems to be this. Getting ahead financially isn't just about pushing forward no matter what. It often starts with that tough but vital courage to say, okay, this horse is dead, time to find a new ride.
Precisely. Knowing when to cut your losses and redirect that precious energy, those resources, towards something with genuine potential.
So a final thought for you. As you go about your day, maybe take a moment to reflect. Are there any financial dead horses you might be trying to nudge along, maybe without even fully realizing it?
Good question.
Perhaps it's time for that step back, that realistic look Wakwoma advocates for, an honest check. Could it be time to pivot? Time to let go, start fresh, and aim for real future growth. It's definitely a challenging thought, but maybe a really valuable one.